Hi, and welcome to Conectados, a weekly space where we connect with resources, technology, ideas, neighbors, stories, and much more. I am your host, Cris Oviedo, and I am very happy to be with you today. Conectados is a space that looks to connect us to one another, bring us together, and today we're connecting with Veterans Day, the upcoming events for this weekend, and our weekly financial wellness segment, and much, much more. And we start connecting with the election results. After weeks of early voting and a full day of in person voting yesterday, Donald Trump is the 47th elected president of the United States of America. And I know that this is a decision that has many people happy and others not so much. So today, I want to offer you some ways to manage maybe the storm of emotions and feelings that you may be experiencing right now. I just want to offer you, to give yourself some time to process the strong emotions that you may be experiencing after finding the results. Please acknowledge your feelings. It is normal to complete, and it's completely okay to experience disappointment, anger, and sadness if your candidate didn't win. Recognize your feelings, name your feelings so that you can level set with them and not get lost in the pain. Also, give yourself space and disconnect from the news cycle and social media platforms so that you can continue to process the results on your own without the constant external reminder. Do activities that bring you peace and calm, like taking a walk, doing some breathing exercises, listening to music, baking, drawing, painting, or anything else that brings you joy. Also, remind yourself that elections come in cycles. And while the results will certainly have an impact, the power one person or one office has is limited, and collective power is definitely stronger. Please get enough sleep and rest so that you can feel and function better. And ask for help. Call a close friend or family member if you feel that they will understand you. You can also call the 988 line and speak to a trained professional who can help you cope if you're really having a hard time processing your feelings on your own. And finally, whether your candidate won or not, I ask us all to be compassionate with each other. It's okay to have different perspectives and think differently. But let's try to find a way to come together above any differences and put our hands together and start building that country that we all love, that we all want, and that we all are proud to call our home. And speaking of building a better future, up next we have our financial wellness segment in partnership with Making Change.
My name is Jasmine Brewer. I am the Executive Director for Making Change located here in Howard County, and we are a financial education and empowerment organization. We've been around for over 30 years, helping Howard County residents work towards achieving their financial goals. Those financial goals could be anything from wanting to rent an apartment to buying a home to I've got to start all over. I need to build or rebuild my credit. That's what we do. We are what's called a HUD approved housing counseling agency. So all of our services are free. They are no cost to any of the clients that contact us that we work with, and we'll work with you as long as you need us to work with you.
Thank you to Jasmine and all the team at Making Change for partnering with Conectados. Look out for the weekly segment with tips on how to be financially savvy that will be coming up every week. And next up on our show, next Monday, November 11, is Veterans Day. It's the day that we honor, thank, and celebrate military veterans in the United States. Veterans Day was established to recognize the contributions and sacrifices of living veterans. Veterans Day is celebrated annually on November 11th, following Armistice Day, which was established in remembrance of memorial gestures that took place and gave universal recognition to the celebrated ending of World War I, fighting at 11 a.m. on November 11, 1918, which is also known as the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. And to talk about Veterans Day in our county and resources available to them, I am joined today by Lisa B. Terry. She's the manager of the Howard County Office of Veterans and Military Families. Lisa is an Air Force veteran spouse who has worked and volunteered with military families in Japan, Germany, and Maryland. Her worldwide experience expands from leading preschool programs for military children in Japan, to finance specialist for a defense contractor in Germany, to human resources, to family support coordinator, deputy director and regional coordinator locally in the Fort Meade Regional Growth Management Committee. She also served as the director for the Office of Military Affairs for the Howard County Economic Development Authority. Lisa also has experience in nonprofit management, property management, event coordination, public relations, communications, and college instruction. Lisa is a Howard County resident for over 25 years. She's an avid volunteer in many capacities around our county. She's a wife, she's a mom, she's a dog mom too, and she enjoys traveling, reading, and spending time outdoors. It is really a pleasure to bring Lisa to our studio here at Conectados. Lisa, thank you so much for joining me this morning. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.
And I know I read your bio, and it's very impressive, and it shows in paper, and it shows professionally everything that you have done. But this is a personal story. This is your life. So I really would like for you to tell your own story, and how that led to Howard County Office of Veterans and Military Families.
Well, it is kind of a full circle moment. I got married rather young, and I first met my husband, ironically, at a party. He was stationed in England, came home for the holidays, and I remember thinking, oh, this guy's really cute with his short crew cut, but I will never marry a military guy. Then fast forward, it was my best friend's birthday. I was in College Park celebrating with her, and here comes that guy. He walks in. He is now stationed at Fort Meade. We hit it off, started dating. We dated for about a year, and then he knew he was going to have an overseas assignment in Asia, and we just were a bit young, weren't quite ready to make that next leap, so we broke up. We stayed in touch, and then a year later, apparently we couldn't live without each other. So he proposed to me over the phone from Japan. I planned a massive wedding in 3.5 months. He came home, we got married. And at 24 years old, I was a newlywed, a military spouse living in Misawa Air Base, Japan, which is not Tokyo. It's not Okinawa. It is a bit isolated, for lack of a better word.
Wow.
Lots of snow, very cold. I remember walking into our military house off base because we were on the waiting list to get on base housing. And he carried me over the threshold, and I said, "Where's the rest?" It was the tiniest house. It was hilarious. And it turns out that it had a propane heater on a timer. So in the winter months, we literally would say rock, paper, scissors, shoot to see who would turn the heater back on when it turned off in the middle of the night. We had ice chips in our toilet. We had Japanese students that were cracking the bat playing baseball at 5 a.m. because they had to play sports before school, because after school, they all had to study. So I remember experiencing an earthquake by myself. My husband worked midnight shifts, and I thought, I'm going to die in Japan by myself as a newlywed. And the funniest part was my husband worked in national security, but I didn't know what he did exactly. And I wasn't allowed to know what he did. I couldn't even go to his place of work. It was a giant golf ball shaped building. And, I remember one night, I was young, I was naive. And while my dad was a veteran, my grandfather was a vet, or my uncle was a veteran. They didn't serve when I was, when I was alive. So, one night in the middle of the night, he's up and he's like creeping around the kitchen. He was looking for cereal, but unbeknownst to me, I'm like, I accused him of being a spy. He just started laughing hysterically. And so that was my sort of introduction to military life. My first doctor's appointment, I was supposed to give his social security number. I gave him mine. I waited for an hour and a half, and then I got really upset. I'm like, I keep hearing everyone's names. When am I going to get called? And they said, well, what's your social security number? And I said, when I told him, like, what's your husband's social security number? It was no longer Lisa Boucher, it was Lisa Terry. So it definitely was a transition for me.
Yeah.
So, my first job, I worked at Sure Start, which was a Head Start model program for at-risk military kids. That was an eye-opener. And then I went on to become a recreation manager, and I was able to get a lot of these young families who didn't travel much, didn't leave the installation because it was really expensive in Japan. And I organized ski and snowboarding trips and camping trips and biking workshops. And it was a lot of fun. And I organized the first Misawa Air Base ski and snowboard competition. I'll never forget that because I almost froze on that mountain, announcing all the athletes. But it was so cool. There were so many great festivals. I remember the Salmon Festival where we literally caught a live salmon in a stream with gloved hands. And if it had a marking on the bottom, you got to keep it, and they would cook it there for you. I mean, so it was a lot of unique opportunities. I also taught English to Japanese students from kindergarten to adult nuclear physicists. So that was a cultural experience in and of itself. Fast forward, my husband transitioned out of the military after that duty station, and we moved to Maryland, and he became a defense contractor. And we were here for 3.5 years, and we had an opportunity to move overseas and support the military mission. So that's what we did. We moved to Germany, and we lived off post near Ramstein Air Base. And I supported the military as well as my husband as contractors. So that was an amazing experience. And between Japan and Germany, we have so many military friends that retired or served longer than us, made lots of sacrifices. We didn't have our children until after my husband got out of the military. So we didn't have that experience, but I did see firsthand a lot of young families and the sacrifices that they made. And when we moved back to Maryland after Germany, I stayed home with my children for a little bit. And then I was approached as a PTA president by someone who was on a Department of Defense grant and said, hey, we have this opportunity for a defense family initiative coordinator. You would be perfect. And I thought, oh, okay, this is interesting. So I interviewed, got the job, and immediately went to work with my 3 kids. I had to find a sitter right away, and was able to support military families transitioning into the Fort Meade area due to what they called BRAC at the time, base realignment and closure.
I remember that.
I did that for a few years. And then the Office of Veterans and Military Families under the Howard County government was created after I submitted a proposal. I was very concerned when the grant ended, who would support our military connected families in Howard County. And fortunately, they created the office, and I've been in that office for 8+ years, and it's under the Department of Community Resources and Services, which is our human services umbrella for the county. So I'm able to collaborate with our Office of Aging, Consumer Protection, Children and Families, our homeless population, our COC board, who helps homeless or those facing housing insecurity find proper housing. So full circle moment, said I never married a military guy. And then here I am supporting military and veteran families in my own community.
A military wife. Yes. Very much deep in that life. And it sounds like it's been a wonderful life. It sounds like you have enjoyed every bit of it, even freezing and surviving an earthquake. And I have to say, I mean, in Japan, like in Ecuador, they're real. They're not like the ones we have experienced here in Maryland, where
6 months of 20-foot snowdrifts sometimes in front of my house. It was unbelievable.
So Lisa, I love that your concern is what inspired you to request, hey, we need an office that can really concentrate on supporting veteran families and veterans. Tell us a little bit of, now that we know where it came from, now that we know that it was out of concern from somebody who recognizes the needs of the families and saw that there was a real threat of not having that very, very important place for families to come to. What is your mission? Like, what does the Office of Veterans and Military Families do here in Howard County?
My office provides information, access, and guidance to active duty veterans, dependents, and survivors. What does that mean? If they need to be connected to resources or services, whether it be legal, financial, mental health, housing, education, employment, VA benefits, I can help connect those dots for them. We are very fortunate to have a Maryland Department of Veteran and Military Families Benefits representative in our county, and they can work with them to apply for VA benefits like disability or spousal benefits, things like that. I also partner with a lot of organizations. I'm a one-woman office, so I rely heavily on my partnerships and being out in the community, doing a lot of outreach and awareness, letting them know that my office exists, but also my partners. So I work really closely with the veteran service organizations like the VFW and the American Legions in Howard County. They do a lot of great work, a lot of community service work, and they have Memorial Day events. They have flag retirement ceremonies. They have breakfast with Santa for military families, and they just do a lot of great work. So I partner with them. Blue Star Families, I have partnered with them. We had an event a couple years ago called Stronger Together, where we brought military families that were new to the area, and we introduced them to all the resources that we have. So we had the library there, the Conservancy, Rec and Parks, CA, all these great organizations that provide recreation and wellness and educational activities. And then we had free entertainment and food to bring them along and celebrate them coming to our community. And I also partner with like the library. They currently have a VA social worker that's there once a month. And I'm working with the school system right now to expand support for our military students. Believe it or not, we have Fort Meade and NSA is the largest employer for Howard County residents, although it is in Anne Arundel County. A lot of people don't realize that. So it is an economic engine. It really defines our quality of life. If Fort Meade or NSA were to close down, life as we know it in Howard County would be significantly different. So we really have to embrace our military and veteran families that are here and all the DOD and contractors that support the missions on Fort Meade and NSA. And one way we can do that is making our schools Purple Star School designated schools. What that means, Maryland legislation was passed a couple years ago, basically awarding those schools who do improve and expand support for military children. And we had one school, Bellows Springs Elementary, named as a Purple Star school last year. They were one of 8 in the state. And this year, I know we have several more that will be applying. I've been helping with professional development and some other guidelines that need to be fulfilled when you apply for the designation.
Lisa, maybe somebody's listening, somebody's watching, and they're saying, what do you mean by supporting the military children? Like what kind of support do they need? Like
Sure.
Their children, they're with a military family. They're not the ones serving, because I think that many times we focus on soldiers who are serving, the ones who are active, right? We don't really focus on veterans, and we'll have that conversation in a minute. But like when you're talking about military families and you're saying, hey, one way to support this is if our schools have the right supports for the military children, maybe this is the first time somebody's even thinking about it.
Yeah. So yes, the military member serves, but honestly, the whole family serves, because they go through transitions that we will never understand. They move on average every 2 to 3 years, sometimes more often. There are some kids that graduate after going to 10 or 12 schools in their lifetime. And so Purple Star School has a designation as 4 categories. One is a dedicated website with resources that military and veteran families can access. So we already have that on the HCPSS website. And then the schools that receive the PSS designation will have a link to that on their website. There's a student-led transition program, which is kind of like a new buddy program. So when a student comes to a new school, they're assigned somebody that can just help them get through, understanding what the culture is of that school and how things work. And there's also a professional development, so helping educators and other school staff better understand military culture. What does it mean when a service member deploys, and what does that reintegration of the family mean? Or if a family member comes back with emotional or physical wounds from their service. So it's more of an awareness and a support system, and it helps the civilians, so those who haven't served, better understand the sacrifices that not only the military member makes, but their family makes as well. So it's really, I think, broadening the community, the foundation for those military families.
I really appreciate you bringing, and voicing those needs, because I have never had an experience with military. Like, I don't have anyone in my family, close family, was never military. I'm not part of the military family. So for me, when you speak about this, right? And again, my, I guess maybe my relationship is what I've seen on movies, what I've read on books. Like, it seems like a distant story. And then to hear you say there's a lot of people right here in our community. I mean, there's over 20,000 veterans and active duty members right here in our county, in Howard County. And then to hear you say, if we lift Fort Meade, which is not even Howard County, it's in our neighboring county, if we take them away, our life as we know it is going to change, right? Like, that's powerful. So,
Yes.
as we are all part of this community, and as we are understanding this, I don't know if you can maybe help us kind of like picture how can we be better neighbors, right? How can we be better neighbors? How can we bring this awareness that we maybe now are just finding for the first time into action? How can we support the military families a little bit better? What are things that you would think that somebody like me who has never experienced, who has no relationship whatsoever, should absolutely keep in mind?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's as simple as just reaching out to your neighbor. If you see that you have a new member in your community that's served in the military, it's likely that they've moved quite a bit. They don't have the network, they don't have the village that many of us do. A lot of us have been in the same neighborhood, and our kids have gone to school with the same kids throughout their school career. And military kids don't have that luxury, unfortunately. And if you think about networks, when you're looking for a job, who do you turn to? You turn to your neighbors or your current colleagues or just your friends, and you reach out to them. And a lot of times they can help you find a job. Well, military spouses specifically, they're underemployed, and many are unemployed and not wanting to be. Imagine moving every 2 to 3 years. That really disrupts a woman's career, or a military spouse, because there are a lot of men who are spouses as well. That can interrupt your career. And so I just say, try to create a community for them. Reach out to them, see what connections you can make for them. Let them know what resources are available, that you can carpool their kid if they need it. Just be a good neighbor.
I love that. Just be a good neighbor. Thank you for simplifying it, but and that's, I feel that this is the right message that everybody, whether you're military or not, needs to hear today.
Yes.
Let's just be good neighbors. Let's just be good neighbors. Let's just take the time to welcome others into our communities and build in our communities that village that you spoke about, that I think it's just vital for our community
I
right
mean,
now.
absolutely. Having lived overseas twice, the military friends I made, they were my family. Those are the people I spent Thanksgiving with. Those are the ones I spent holidays with. Those are the ones who threw me baby showers. I mean, when you are in the military, your military friends and coworkers become your family. And so I think, especially the day after the election, it's time for us to all come together and just take care of one another.
Yeah, absolutely. Take care of one another. Be that good neighbor. Let's just welcome each other. Let's just take time to listen to each other. I know there's a lot of big feelings today around the election. There's anxiety. There's a lot of reports out there around anxiety, around fear. Um, and that's when we think in the big picture, right? And there will be consequences, right? Had it gone the other way, there would have been consequences as well. I mean, no matter who's sitting there at the
Sure.
office, there's going to be consequences one way or the other.
Yes.
But
Can't
in
make
our
everybody happy.
but in our communities, we have the power. We have the power to make our communities and build our communities by doing exactly what Lisa just said. Being a good neighbor, taking action, acknowledging maybe somebody just came into our community, a new neighbor. So taking the time to have a conversation, taking the time, and if our ideals are different, please, let's listen to each other. We don't have to agree. We
Right.
do not have to agree, but we need to learn how to coexist with each other because we are all part of the community. So please,
Absolutely.
yeah, let's
And
just
that's
do that.
the military is made up of individuals from every walk of life, every race, every religion, every background you can possibly imagine. And our community here in Howard County is very reflective of that. We are very diverse and inclusive. But we all have different life experience. We've all come from different places. So if anything I've learned from the military, we can all coexist and come together. Military members have each other's back no matter what.
Mm-hmm. and their life depends on it in a real way, in a very real way. On Friday, I had the opportunity to interview yesterday a member of the Veterans Commission that works with Lisa, and that's what I heard. That's what I heard. This is a military veteran who's not saying it's all sweet, it's all unicorns, it's all beautiful. He's also not saying it's all war, right?
Right.
But that there is a real opportunity, there is a real not opportunity, there's a real threat, there is a real, like, it's always prevalent, it can always happen, is basically what he said, right?
Mhm.
And that's the thing. He didn't talk about ideologies. He didn't talk about, I am from this party, this person's from this other party. He simply said, we're all there with a mission. And those ideologies kind of like come to the side. Yes, we all have our own individual ideologies, but when it comes to the real moment, we have each other's back. And
Yes.
if we can just hold on to that, I think we can look beyond our differences and come to those places where really, really just unite us and make us
Mhm.
stronger. And that's how we can build, community, and that's how we can build the country that we all love and are proud to call our home. So Lisa, speaking of that, what are some of the strengths and maybe even some of the needs, some of the things that you want us to make sure that we are aware of when we look at our military family, some of the strengths, some of the things that we can learn from, and then some of the needs that maybe we can provide, that maybe we can support with.
Sure. Well, I would say one of the best skills military members have, and veterans bring to the table, is their mission first thinking. They just find a way to get things done, no matter the obstacle. So, if you want to hire a veteran or a military member that's transitioning out, they will get the job done. They will find a way. Some of the, and military spouses specifically are very resilient. I mean, think about moving, several times, moving your kids, finding a new house, adapting to a changing environment all the time while holding the fort down. Sometimes even when your military member is deployed. So they have a lot of flexibility and resiliency. So I would encourage employers to definitely consider that when they're looking at military spouses. And then some of their unique needs is just to really understand the sacrifices that they make, the frequent moves, the deployments, sometimes the reintegration of a family. If a military member has been deployed for 6 months or a year or longer, everyone thinks, oh, that reintegration, that reunion it's going to be so beautiful and wonderful. We see that on, these video clips, but in fact, it's a lot harder. It's a lot harder than people think. You think about the military spouse that's been at home taking care of everything while their military member has been away. And then all of a sudden they come back and they kind of disrupt everything in the routine and the way things have been done. So they've got to reconnect as partners, but then they have to reconnect with their children and just the flow of the household. So that can be really stressful. So I just, I throw that out there because I think everyone sees these joyful reunions and it's not always quite so easy. And then I would say understanding that there are veterans who have PTSD, there are veterans who experience military sexual trauma and traumatic brain injury, but that's a small population. I want to get the message across that veterans are not broken by any means. Some of them have they've had a challenging time, but I tell you, they're some of the strongest people I know. And there is, in fact, healing and recovery.
And Lisa, I love that you spoke about giving veterans a chance, because that is on the conversation that I had that will be coming up on Friday. That's part of the conversation. It was like I couldn't find a job. I went to school. I had to prepare myself, and then when I was back in the market, I was constantly being told I am overqualified or I am underqualified, right? Depending on how somebody was looking at me and what they were looking at. So thank you for voicing that, and thank you for bringing your heart into this conversation, because and just being honest and real with us and saying, yes, we hear, and that's what we hear about veterans having issues. Like, we hear the problems, but we don't hear the strengths. We don't hear what you just told us. Hey, thanks to the military families that we have, the comfort life that we have here in Howard County currently, like, our economy kind of depends on them. So let's be welcoming to them, right? That's powerful for us to understand and for us to know.
And I'll tell you, some of the most resilient veterans are right here in this county. We actually had 4 veterans get trained as peer facilitators through NAMI, the National Alliance of Mental Illness, and they have since 2019 have had a virtual Veterans Connection support group every Monday night. That's a long time. And the wonderful thing about it is that it's virtual. So not only Howard County veterans can join the support group, but anybody anywhere, because it's virtual. And these 4 veterans show up every first Monday of the month. 1 is a female, 2 are combat veterans. 1 owned a veteran-owned business that he hired all people who had them go through mental health first aid training. So they're all pretty remarkable people. And that just shows you, like, they're taking their time out of their very busy schedules, and, taking their trauma and putting it into a different place and helping others.
Yeah, that's power right there. That's very powerful. So talking about resources, what are some of those resources that are available to military families and veterans right here in our area?
Well, for one, I have a directory on my website. It's over 200 nonprofits and government agencies that support veterans or military families in some capacity. So I encourage people to access that on my webpage. In addition to that, I've started a veteran and military-owned small business directory. I had a veteran and military spouse small business expo last October. We had over 40 businesses come and sell their products or promote their business, their services. We had veteran-owned food trucks and entertainment, and it was a great event. And so we're planning to do that again next fall. And so I just started that directory. So if you're a veteran-owned or military spouse-owned business and you'd like me to add that to the directory, I'm happy to do so. I think it's really important that we patron them because of the services, the sacrifices that they've made. My office, partners with the Maryland's Commitment to Veterans, Maryland Department of Veteran Affairs, Blue Star Families, local veteran service organizations. So it runs the gamut. I mean, I have veterans who are facing housing insecurity, and I will connect them to the resources they need. And I have sometimes people that are looking for employment, and we have veteran employment specialists that we can refer them to. So my office touches just about any area. And while I don't provide direct service, I provide a lot of referral and information. And, I won't just give you a phone number. I will give you a warm handoff to someone that I trust.
And I love that you rely on partnerships, because I think that's one, it's a recognition, right? As you said, I am a one-woman office. I am very aware that I can't provide everything for everyone, and I can't be everything for everyone. But I can build those relationships. I can be the one who opens the door. I can be the one who builds the bridges, so that anybody who needs those services, like you just said, I can hand them off to the person who has those specific resources that this family needs. I think that's beautiful. I think that's a beautiful thing, and that's a beautiful job. And I applaud you, and I thank you for, I've seen you in action. I've seen what you've been doing for a couple of years now. And before we went live, I told you, I said, every time I hear you speak, I hear your heart opening. I see, the love and the passion you have for the work that you do, but not just the work that you do, but for the families that you are serving, and that commitment, that understanding, that compassion that you show for these families, that love, that care. It just exudes. So I hope that everybody who's listening and watching can also, feel what I know I feel and I experience every time I am with Lisa, and I hear her speak about everything that she's doing.
I don't have a lot of specific skills. I can't play an instrument. I can't speak a second language, but I'm a connector. I will connect people professionally and personally all day long.
Now, Veterans Day is next Monday.
Yes.
What are the things that we're honoring?
So we have a lot of great things going on. So first and foremost, I want to invite the community on Sunday, November 10th at 9:30 is the kickoff for the 10th annual Veterans Day Parade in downtown Columbia. It starts in the Meriwether District with military vehicles, our JROTC high school cadets. We have a Long Reach High School marching band. We have the Boy Scouts. We have Blue Star Families, a lot of community organizations. And it ends at the Columbia Lakefront. And then immediately following the parade, there'll be a wonderful Veterans Day ceremony with students singing patriotic songs and an update on our Howard County Veterans and Military Families Monument. I've had the pleasure really the honor of serving on the Howard County Veterans Foundation for many years now. And the mission was to raise money to install a Veterans and Military Families Monument on the Columbia Lakefront. Best location in town, honestly. Part of the Millie Bailey Neighborhood Park that currently exists there, named after our beloved World War II female veteran that died at 104 years old, Millie Bailey. And we successfully raised $2.75 million for this beautiful art sculpture that is being built as we speak, and hopefully will be installed no later than 2026, hoping for 2025, but you never know. But we're very, very excited about that. And we encourage all, the community come out. I'll be walking in the parade, handing out American flags and red, white, and blue necklaces and toy soldiers to students, to kids that are blinding the streets. So that would be the one thing I would encourage everyone to come out for. And then also just want to let everyone know that our local veterans and myself, we are in schools visiting and talking to kids for Veterans Day and being a participant in their programs. We are also going to assisted living facilities and just honoring our veterans who are a little bit more isolated, letting them know they're not forgotten. And we're giving them certificates and American flag pins, and just letting our veterans in this community and our civilians understand what it means to serve and what Veterans Day is really about.
Lisa, what are some of the ways in which your veterans can get involved? We haven't even mentioned the commission. I mean, we mentioned it briefly, but we haven't really talked about, because I think that's really important too, right? Like, the conversation is both ways. Is how can the community be supportive? How do we understand?
Yeah.
But at the same time, is where can they bring their talents, right? To what kind of things can they do so that they can make our community better?
So just this morning, I counted 806 handmade hats and scarves. They were crocheted or knitted by members of our community, and they will be mailed to Operation Gratitude in California that will include them in care packages that go to deployed service members. So this has been an initiative called Made with Love. It's gone on for several years. It was initially started by a local yoga teacher, and then I took it over and kind of just made it grow. So that's one way. If you are a knitter or a crocheter, you could do that. But also our veteran service organizations do a lot of great things. Every quarter, we have flag retirement ceremonies. So if you have a tattered or torn American flag, please don't throw it in the trash. Take it to the Alpha Ridge landfill. There's a giant red container there. And every quarter, either veteran service organization members or Boy Scouts or our Civil Air Patrol cadets, they collect those and then they properly retire them at these quarterly flag retirement ceremonies, which are something that anybody can come to and be a part of. It really is a special event. Initially, before the flag, parts of the flag are burned, they read the symbolism of the stripes and the stars and so forth. And but at the event, at the ceremony, but prior to that, they have volunteers that come in and cut in the stripes of these tattered and torn flags for hours, so they're properly retired. And that's quite a dedication. We have students doing it, Boy Scouts, some veterans themselves, some auxiliary members. So those are just two ways you can get involved. We are collecting food for the food bank at the Columbia at the Columbia Lakefront for the Veterans Day Parade this coming Sunday, so you can give back there. And we have a commission for veterans and military families that meets once a month. Those are open meetings, and we talk about the priorities that we want to support. So we also advocate for legislation that improves veterans' lives, like retirement exemption pay, property tax credits. So there's a lot of ways you can get involved, and you can feel free to reach out to me or even join one of our veteran service organizations. They do have an auxiliary. So if you didn't serve, you can still be a part of that community service.
So what's the best way that people can get in touch with you, Lisa?
So they can email me at veterans@howardcountymd.gov, veterans@howardcountymd.gov. My office phone number is 410-313-0821. And my website is howardcountymd.gov conectados.com/veterans. Those are probably the best ways. And there are a lot of resources on my webpage, employment resources. If you are a startup business, there's resources for that. All of the veteran service organization contacts are on there. I have an e-bulletin, basically a digital newsletter that I put out every other month with a lot of events and resources for our military connected community, and that's listed on there as well.
So I just put all the information in our comments there. If you're watching this on Facebook, on the Cris Oviedo page, or if you're watching this on YouTube, you'll see that pop up on the comments right there. And, Lisa, I always like to close our conversations with, messages that you want to leave. But I want to ask you to also add some of your favorite memories, right? Some of the favorite memories that you have as a military wife, and then if you would like to also leave a message to everyone who's watching.
Well, I think probably one of the funniest memories I have, and I've shared this recently because I was recollecting and I was like, oh my gosh, I forgot about that. So when I was first married as a newlywed in Japan, we had to pay all of our bills in person in cash. So I had to go to the military bank and have my money exchanged into yen. And then I had to drive it to my landlord and pay my rent and my utility bills in cash, which was really funny. And then we also had a pink telephone that probably weighed 20 pounds in our closet, and it was coin operated. And that's how you made local phone calls. So I'm sure things have, I'm dating myself a little bit. I'm sure things have modernized a bit, but those are looking back, they're pretty funny. And I just really enjoyed all the festivals and teaching the Japanese students. They were just so curious and so grateful. And I really loved doing that. While I did not serve in Japan, I was a defense contractor and most of my friends were in the military at the time. The travel that we got to do was just amazing, and just experiencing so many different cultures. And probably one of my favorite memories is in Normandy, and the appreciation that the French had for the Americans. It just blew my mind. So just a broadening of my mindset from being able to travel and experience so many different cultures, not only within the military, but what the military allowed us to do. And that was to travel.
That sounds wonderful. And I love that you've had those experiences to even go and have to cash to go pay bills. and in Ecuador, there's a few things that you can pay online, but there's still a lot of that going on, that to pay your bills, you have to physically go to the stores or to the places. Yeah. So there's a lot of that still happening in my country. And I know that that's very different. And probably people here in the US who have never experienced that are thinking, how can people do that? I don't have time to go and go from store to store to pay all of my bills. But that's right. How life is in other places. So I really appreciate that.
And some of the best food I've ever had, street food. Oh, you leave the karaoke bar, at midnight, and then there's a cheese gyoza and yakitori stick waiting for you. It's like nothing better.
I love that. I love those experiences that you've had to, you get to experience thanks to the military life that you've had. Anything else you would like to say before we wrap our conversation up today, Lisa?
Just come to the parade, celebrate with us. It's going to be a lot of fun, and just reach out to your military neighbor. And I say this to my military and veteran friends too. Don't shy away from making a village here, even though you think you have to move in a couple of years. Sometimes it makes it a little hard to really put the effort into those connections. But I encourage everybody to do that, because we all need our village.
Absolutely. We all need our village. Lisa, thank you so much again for the work that you do, for the heart that you put into it, for, bringing our community together, for building community, because that's what I hear that you're doing. You're building community. You're starting with the military family, but you're expanding it. You just invited all of us to come and be part of it and just to connect with each other. So thank you so much for everything that you do and for the heart that you're putting into it. And I really
thank you for having me. Happy Veterans Day, everybody.
Thank you. And we will be right back. We're going to take a quick break, but we'll be back with more of Conectados. back in Conectados, your weekly space to connect with resources, technology, ideas, neighbor stories, and much more. I am your host, Cris Oviedo, and thank you so much for being with me today. Next, I want to connect you to the events that are happening around our county this coming weekend. And we're going to start that with, if you're looking to make the switch to solar power, join the Office of Community Sustainability and Solar United Neighbors tomorrow, Thursday, November 7th, from 6 to 7:30 p.m. at the East Columbia Library for a Howard County Solar 101 information session. Participants will learn about solar technology, financial considerations for going solar, and the solar switch, a group buying program for solar installations. To register or to find out more information, you can call 1-888-810-1117. Let me see if I can put that real quick here on the comments. It is 1-888-810-1117. So let's go ahead and put that on there for you so you can make that call if you're interested in this today. The big shred will take place this Saturday, November 9th. It will be held rain or shine from 9 a.m. until 1 p.m. or until the trucks are full. So come early. All Howard County residents will have the opportunity to stop by one of the 4 document shredding locations that are shown on the screen. And you have the opportunity to give up to 3 bags or boxes of paper that will be shredded on site. To learn more about this event, go to the website that you see there on screen, and then I am dropping right now on the comments as well. One more reminder to join the Veterans Day Parade this Sunday, November 10th at 9:30 a.m. You just heard all of the reasons why we all should be there this Sunday, being in community, celebrating, thanking, and honoring the veterans who have served and made so many sacrifices, and their families as well. So if you're able, please bring donations to support the Howard County Food Bank. All the details are right there. Take a screenshot so you have all the details, or go to Lisa's website. You can find it on the previous comments. So you can have all the details, and you can get in touch with the office and come and celebrate on Sunday. After the parade, come and explore one of Howard County's best kept historical secrets. That's Belmont Manor and Historic Park. We're all invited to join their fall open house this Sunday from noon until 4. This is a unique opportunity to explore the manor house and enjoy a walk through the beautiful gardens with your friends and family. Registration for this event is not required, so just plan to come and be there with your family. Also, a reminder that Howard County offices, 50-plus centers, courts, and animal shelter will be closed in observance of the Veterans Day holiday on Monday. But do note, please, that there will be regular curbside trash, recycling, yard trim, and food scrap collection the week of the 11th. So, and the Alpha Ridge landfill will also be open. So take out the trash on Monday as you would do regularly. I also want to remind you that open enrollment for Maryland Health Connection is happening right now, and it will continue to be available through January 15th. So make sure to visit marylandhealthconnection.gov or call 855-642-8572 to enroll or make changes to your existing coverage. I'm also dropping that information on the comments for you so you can make that call or go to that website today and check your coverage. Make sure that you're covered for next year as well. And those are all the events happening around Howard County this weekend. If you'd like your events to be showcased here on Conectados and be part of our segment, please email me at info@crisoviedo.com. That's info@crisoviedo.com. I'll put that on the comments as well. And that's it for our show today. I really want to thank you so much, for connecting with me every Wednesday at 9 a.m. If you have ideas, if you have comments, you can email them, info@crisoviedo.com. Also, if you know someone, if there are stories in our community that you would like to see highlighted here in Conectados, please reach out to me. I really want to start giving this platform to our people. I really want to start collecting the tapestry stories that are here in our community. I want people to share their stories. I feel that there's so many beautiful stories that are not being told of community residents. Whatever that story may be, it doesn't have to be something spectacular. We all have beautiful stories. We're all carrying different stories of our life. And that's what I want to build. I want to build a segment where we tell our stories, where we celebrate together what makes us who we are today. So please reach out to me, info@crisoviedo.com, or if you know someone, please have them reach out to me. And please share this information with others as well so that they can also find out more about all of the resources that we talked about today that are available for veterans and our veterans families here in Howard County. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening, for sharing, for connecting with me. I'll be back on Friday in Spanish. It's a beautiful story. If I can do captioning in English, I will try. I'm not promising, but I will try to have captioning in English so that you can also, if you don't speak Spanish, so you can also connect with it, because it is the story of a veteran who's originally from Puerto Rico, who served for 20 years. His name is Gabriel Saldivar. And I'd love for you to be able to connect with that story as well. So, but that's coming in Spanish on Friday at 9 a.m. If you know people who speak Spanish, please have them connect with me on Friday at 9 a.m. Thank you so much for being with me. Thank you so much for sharing this with Oviedo.